All right. All right, so starting off on our home page, the way that we're going to access forms, there's only one place we can access forms. That's our form tab at the top of our page and form list. This is the only one in the system. And this is going to bring us into our form list. Now, over time, this form list is going to hold all of the different forms that you guys have created. I'm going to go ahead and create a new form by using my big green button in the top left-hand corner that says Create a Form or Create Form. In this pop-up that we see, we're going to put in our form name. Now, I want you guys to note this form name that you're adding in this time is internal. So whatever is going to help you understand what type of form this is being used as, I want you to name it that. Don't worry so much about your members seeing this because they will not ever see this. So for our example, we're going to do the affiliate application. All right, now our next options. Our form by default is comprised of different built-in sections. Those built-in sections consist of a login section, payment section, and a confirmation section. In between those sections is the body of our form. The body of the form is where we add in the different questions that we're asking of our members. The body of the form can be one of 3 different sections. It could be an event registration section, a membership application section, or what we would just call a general section. So for our example today, we're creating a membership application section, or I'm sorry, a membership application form. If I check that this form is being used for membership, then the form is going to automatically bring in the membership application section for us. Same thing if it was being used for an event registration. If I check that it's being used for an event registration, the form is going to automatically bring in the event registration section for us. Now, there's 2 other kind of hidden options here. The third option is that the form could be used for both. The form will automatically bring in both sections for us, the membership application and the event registration section. The fourth kind of hidden option that we have here is that the form is used for neither. So if you get to this point and you ask yourself, well, it's not really used for membership. It's not really used for event registration. Maybe it's a survey, just as an example. You can check neither of these, and we're going to bring in manually a general section. The general section will be used for any other type of form that you're going to be creating in the system. Any questions on that piece?
So that would be like a speaker custom form or something like that. So it doesn't fall in either category.
Or partnership. Okay. Or partnership.
Basically, yeah, partnership. Anything that's not for membership or not for event registration.
Perfect.
So I'm going to go ahead and check that this form is being used for membership, and I'm going to select Save. Now, selecting Save is going to bring us into our form builder. We're not quite ready to jump into our form yet, so I'm going to use my arrow in the top right-hand corner to select Form List. This is going to bring me back to our form list. A couple other things I want to point out here. As I hover over our form, we've got a couple of different items that we can view. The first is the status of our form. By default, the form is unpublished. Once you've created the form, we can change that status to published. That's going to allow your members to take the form, or it could be archived. This archived option is really important for a couple of reasons. I'm going to go ahead and mention a couple of other options we have for our forms. We've got these 3 horizontal dots. This gives us 2 other options to delete or copy. Deleting the form, you guys have the ability to do at any time unless a single form submission or unless that first form submission has been submitted. You'll no longer be able to delete the form. The reason why is because these forms are collecting information on your members and storing that information in their member profile. So if you deleted the form, you're deleting all that information you've collected. So to prevent you from mass deleting out info, we just don't allow you to delete a form once there's been form submissions. That's where that archived option becomes really beneficial, because over time, you guys are going to have so many forms in here and you can't delete them. So by archiving them, you're kind of putting them behind the scenes. Now, if you ever needed to go back and reference one of those archive forms, or you could even restore it, you can always check this box up here in the middle of our black bar, and this will show you archived forms. You also will end up with a lot of forms, so we've created a search bar where you can search for specific form names, and that'll also limit or filter what you're seeing in the form list. Now going back to some of these options over here on the right-hand side, our 3 horizontal dots, copying this form is going to be y'all's best friend. A lot of my associations will create templates for forms, like a templated event registration form, and just copy that form over and over and over again and make a few tweaks to it. So instead of having to create a new form every time you have a new form that needs to be created, you just copy it. It'll save you a lot of time. You also have the ability to take this form. Now, taking this form is literally taking the form on behalf of somebody. So I may be going down the road and call you guys up, and I may say, Alice, I want to come to your event. I don't have time to register. I don't get computers. Can you just do it for me? And you can say, sure, Adrian, hold on one second. Let me bring up my computer. And then you can just say, you can either find my name in your database or proceed as a new profile. And then it'll take you into the form just as if the member was taking it themselves. So you can just ask them each question as it goes down the list. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
Oh, no, that's great. Okay.
One more little secret that I want to go ahead and point out. You have this prevent confirmation email option down here in the bottom left-hand corner. So this could also be beneficial if you still have some paper forms floating around out there, like if you have a paper membership application, maybe it just comes out of the blue, it's sent to you guys. You might have received it on a Monday, but didn't have a chance to input it until Thursday, and you may not want your member to know that it took you 4 days to get it in the system. So you can just prevent a confirmation email from going out. And then the last item that we have over here is editing. Editing is what I'm about to select to go into the form builder. Something that I want to note here, similar to why you can't delete a form once form submissions have been submitted. Once form submissions have been submitted, editing is limited. And what I mean by that is if I took the form and I gave you my company, I put in member clicks in the organization field, and I hit submit. And then later you guys look at each other and you go, we don't really need that company field. You wouldn't be able to go back into the form and delete that field because, just as I mentioned earlier, you'd be mass deleting all of the companies that you've collected. And MemberClicks isn't going to allow you to mass delete information because they think that usually that would probably be an accident and not something you really want to do. So we just wouldn't let you take out that field. Now, on the flip side of that, if you guys said, we should really be collecting our members' birth dates, you could always go back into a form that has submissions and add fields, just you can't take any away. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions before we keep moving forward, guys?
Nope.
Looks good.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and select edit, and it's going to bring us into our form builder. It's comprised of 2 different columns, a left-hand column and a right-hand column. The left-hand column, we've got tabs up here that we're going to be working our way through. I'm going to start by talking about form settings. Now, form settings are settings in the form that if you update, they apply or affect the entire form. Things like the form name, that affects the entire form. Form description, that's a description about the entire form. By the way, this form name and this form description are both still internal. Nobody is seeing these except for you guys. The form alias, about content, the form alias is what creates the back end of your web address to go into this specific form. So if I wanted to test this form, I'd go to bsa.memberclicks.net/affiliate-membership-application. Our form status, this allows us to change status just like what we could do from the form list. You have the ability to enable an expiration date. Now, a membership application is not going to have an expiration, but if this was an event registration form, I would definitely suggest putting an expiration date in here. Permissions. This is how we determine who sees what in our form. In this case, since it lives under the form settings tab, it's who can see the form, period. So if anybody should be able to see this form, we're going to leave this edit permissions to all 6 of your groups. And then we've got that date-based pricing. I talked a little bit about how that could be for early birds. Now, once again, we can't use this on a membership application. These would be used for event registrations, for really any other type of form. It's just not the membership application. So same for discount codes. These are both available here, but they will not work. They will only work for other forms other than a membership application. And then the forward URL, once your member has submitted the form, by default, they go back to the homepage of the website. If you want them redirected to a page of more information about the event they just registered for, or in this case, a page about membership benefits, you would want to put that URL down right in this text box. That's going to transfer them to that web address that you supplied in this area versus taking them back to the homepage of your website by default. Any questions on this, on any form settings? Good. Okay. Once again, form settings affect the entire form. All right, now I'm going to skip over to our right-hand side. We're going to talk about this right-hand column for just a little while. I mentioned that our form is comprised of different sections by default. Some of those sections, I mentioned the first was a login section, and that is what we see here. The login section is what's going to greet your members first. Now, I mentioned earlier, whatever you name the form is not what your members see. That's because what your members see are the names of these tabs as they navigate from section to section. So in this case, they're going to be greeted with a page where at the top it just says login. That may not make sense to your members. You may want to update this tab. In order to do so, we can click on the Properties tab for this particular section, and it's going to reflect what we can change about this section on the left-hand side under our Element Properties tab. Element Properties are what you can change about a specific section or field of the form. So two big differences. Form settings has to do with what what we change under form settings affects the entire form. Element properties is only what we're changing about a specific section or about a specific field of the form. So we've got some different things we can customize. The name of our section, if we wanted this to say login, maybe for affiliate application. This might make sense, more sense to your members. And this is going to update at the top of our tab. So now we know that this is what they're going to see when they come into our form. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, we do have the ability to turn off our login section. Really not suggest doing this unless you were taking like a survey, or that's really kind of the only instance I could think that it would be appropriate to turn off the login section. Turning off the login section, any form submissions that come through will come through as an anonymous form submission if the login section is not on. That prevents the form from communicating with the member profile, and it also does not allow a confirmation email to go out. So it's really important to keep the login section on. Any questions on that?
If they're not a member, it will create a prospect profile?
Correct.
Okay. That's good.
Okay. Now you can also determine what login types can take this form. Right now we have all users, meaning existing users or new users. If we used our drop down, we could say, oh, only existing users can come to this event. New users can't log in now, only existing users. Or you could say, you know what, this is really only for new users, and it'll only show the new user section. The last option that we have here are multiple submissions. So I would not allow multiple submissions for really any of your forms. What's going to happen is somebody's going to say, did I take that form? I don't remember. I'm just going to do it again. Now you've got 2 form submissions, 2 invoices. You're having to refund money. You're having to delete one of the form submissions. It can just create a mess. There are 2 very distinct times that you should turn on multiple submissions. Donation forms. If you guys take donations, if somebody wanted to come in and donate to you guys every single day, there is no stopping them, right? That is totally fine. The second, if you guys have a renewal application. members would use that same renewal application every year. So you would need to allow multiple submissions. Any questions on that piece?
Nope.
All right. Continuing on, that's our login section. Now we're ready to move into the membership application section. This is the body of our form. This is where we're going to be asking all of our questions. Same thing here. I can look at my properties for my membership section. Maybe membership, that'd be the next page that your members would see. Maybe membership doesn't make sense. You might want to say complete for membership application, or maybe just membership application. That'll update on our tab. Now we know that this is what your members will navigate to this next piece. Then we have a couple of other settings here. Enable membership section. This is a membership application, so of course the membership section should be on. If you wanted to turn this off, you could do so. We're going to minimize the section and it's going to gray itself out. Require membership section when available to the user. Yes, you want to require this. If you do not, it allows them to submit this membership application with no fields completed. That is not helpful. We're going to require the membership section. The next two, display application area for new users and prospects, or display renewal area for users that are all within their renewal period. There's a little paragraph down here on what this means, but basically your members could use the same application for new membership or for renewals. If you wanted to have two different forms, you could just turn off the renewal section for the new member form, turn off the member section for the renewing members. I do want to take note here, or make a point to mention here, when your members want to take the membership renewal application, they cannot do that unless they are in their membership renewal period. Do you guys remember what starts or creates, or maybe I should say puts your member in their membership renewal period? Do you remember? Maybe not.
Is it based off the expiration date?
It is a little bit. So once your member has received the renewal notification, so that first renewal notification we send out with an attached invoice, that's what begins the renewal application period. If they've not received the notification, if an invoice has not been created in the system, the member is not in their renewal period. I guarantee if you guys create a separate renewal application and you link it somewhere on your website, somebody's going to try to take it one day and they won't be in their renewal period and they're going to email you and say it's broken. And you're probably going to email me because you may forget. But if you don't forget, you can just say it's not time for you to renew yet. You're not in your renewal period. You'll receive an invoice once it's time for you to pay your dues. If you guys don't want to make your member wait, you can also just do a one-off renew from their profile, and that'll just send them an invoice as well, which will put them in their renewal period. Questions on that? I know that's kind of a lot.
I do. When you start talking about renewal period, so when we are utilizing the grace period, so obviously we have to build that in. So if we start billing them 2 months out before they're due, and then there's a 2-month grace period for someone to pay from their actual renewal date. So in essence, that would be a 4-month period. It's not going to be 2 months based off of when it's actually due, correct?
Correct. It's 4 months, but they have to pay those dues.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Answer your question? Okay, good. All right. Let's keep rocking and rolling. We're going to come back to this membership application in just a minute because this is where we're going to be adding in our fields. I do want to go ahead and point out for your organizational members, this first piece up here, this is going to be the first part of the application that they're going to see. And it's going to ask them questions on their organization. So this, that they fill out any questions we put in here, is going to create the company's profile. Then they're going to create linked profiles. And these are going to be profiles all about the linked individuals. Now, if it's only an individual member who's coming in here and choosing an individual member type, they would skip directly to this individual piece. They would skip over that organizational piece because it doesn't apply to that member type. So the system's smart enough to know, okay, what member type did they choose? What fields should they be seeing?
But we need to clarify to them that the type of membership they have. If it's the company membership that includes up to blank individuals on it, or if it's just one person, we need to have that noted somewhere, correct?
Well, that sounds like a renewal to me. And if they're renewing, the company is just going to receive the renewal notification with the invoice attached that they can pay. So I don't really think we need to tell them. It's really more about educating probably new members to determine, you know, are they going to fall into an organizational member type, or are they going to fall into an individual member type? Is their company paying their dues for them, or do they have to pay their own invoice?
Okay, so we have, for the two groups we're going to be converting, they are company memberships that allow up to a certain number of individuals linked to it. And in one case, depending on how many are linked to it, determines how much their dues are.
So that's really easy to incorporate. That's actually going to be a little bit different. What we can do in the member type settings is we'll actually get to determine, okay, you can have, you know, you're going to pay $1,000 and you'll receive the ability to have 6 linked profiles. But for every additional linked profile you have over the 6, you're going to have to pay another $50. And our system can do that. Is that what you're talking about? Something like that?
Right. So like one of the benefits of one of our groups is that you can have up to 10 on there. How do we communicate to that to them is like a benefit when they're joining, so they understand that.
I would put, so there's this field, choose a member type below to join as a new member. I would probably, you can edit this new member text. I would probably put explanations of your member types and the benefits of each in these areas. Now, you could also, depending on what member type they choose from the drop down, you could add at the bottom of the organizational profile, once they complete the organizational profile, they're going to hit create linked profile. You could add a text box, what we call a label, and put in the verbiage that would only pop up. So if I'm an affiliate member and I get up to 10 linked profiles, you could set permissions. So when they choose affiliate, this text box pops up and it says, please note, you can have up to 10 linked, you know, you're awarded up to 10 linked profiles for the selected member type. Please choose create linked profile below and create up to 10 linked individuals.
And then they can leave that blank, like say they only have 2 people, they can just say continue to next page. And is that correct?
Correct, and they could always come back in the company's profile and add those linked members later on, or they could call you up and have you do it for them.
Okay, great.
All right. All right, now you guys don't have any individual member types, so everybody that's going to be coming in here, they're going to go directly to the organizational piece, and then they'll fall into the individual piece to add the linked members. As we continue through, as we continue through, the next section that's built into our form is a summary section. This is going to allow your members to summarize all of the information they provided based on the questions you've asked. So we'll use the properties tool. Typically, we're going to want to turn this on and add or edit the summary fields. As we add more fields to our form, more fields will pop up that they could review. All right, then we have our payment section. Now, for every form you guys see, even if it's a form I created, I always want you to come in here and make sure you're setting up the payment section. This is so, so important. If I click on properties for the payment section, we'll always want to make sure that we're setting up our payment processor and our invoice template. Now, the invoice templates are something that we talked about in our database training last time. Do you guys remember us talking about these?
Maybe.
You do remember? So this is something that you guys still need to complete from that database training.
The moolah?
Not moolah. These are invoice templates. So these have to do with the different notifications that go out per the type of invoice that's created.
Right. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, the last two things that we have down here, enable pay later with invoice. So if your member can, if you want your member to have to pay at time of form submission, then I would, you would want to leave this turned off. If they have the ability to submit a form and have an invoice created that they can come back and pay at a later time, you're going to want to turn this on. Any questions on that?
No.
Nope.
Okay. And then the last piece, this cannot be used for membership because membership applications, membership will always have the member's expiration date as the payment date, due date on the invoice. But if this was for like an event registration, you can always turn this on and choose your due date for the invoice from here. So the invoice template allows you to choose, okay, I want it to, I want this invoice to be due 15 days out, 30 days out, 60 days out. In this case, you can override that option. So this will create or override the due date on the invoice. Okay, any questions on the payment section?
Nope.
All right. You can also use the merge data tool, so it'll almost act as like another recap. Now, I love our confirmation section, but not because of this reason. This is great. However, you can also use the properties tool within the confirmation section, and you can turn on a confirmation email. This is actually like sending a receipt to your member. I would also, of course, edit the confirmation email so that you can specify what type of verbiage is going out. But this is once again where you can use that merge data tool, choose the different fields that you're wanting to include in this confirmation email, like their first and last name, the member type they chose, organization name. Now, this is awesome for your members because, like I said, it's really giving them a receipt. But you can also use our BCC recipients option.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
And you can BCC up to 10 of you guys on this so that you receive automated notifications.
We really like that. It's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Any questions on that confirmation section? Anything else on here? Feeling good?
I have one question about like the form questions that we're asking. Can you go through like just how to add like a multiple choice question or something like that? Is that possible?
We are going to talk about that in just a second. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, that's going to be the next thing that we cover. So it sounds like we're ready for that. All right. When we're ready to actually build our form, we're going to be using our middle tab that we see here, Add Form Elements.
There we go. Okay.
Yep. If you remember, we've got our different types of attributes in our website, in our product. We've got built-in attributes and custom attributes. Now, all of these attributes communicate with the forms. Communicate with your members' profiles, grab information, and store in the members' profiles. So anytime you use a built-in or custom attribute, it's grabbing the info, storing in the member's profile. It works vice versa. If this person was taking an event registration form, it's going to pull the information and auto-populate it on the form. So if you've already collected the information, you don't have to collect it again. So when we're ready to add these fields, the built-in or custom, so like company name is on here, that's already in here by default, but address. I know that's a built-in attribute. I'm going to grab my address field and drag into the organizational information. So all we're doing is grab and dragging. Now, once we've dropped, it's going to show us any element properties that are available. Those are the customizations we can make for this to this particular field. So I can make this required. Or we could just leave it non-required. You'll notice there's going to be an asterisk which marks it's required. You guys, just to show you a couple more times, phone is on here, so I'm grabbing and dragging phone. We can make it required. Email address is on here. Copy an attribute that we already have. I'm going to edit and I'm going to say website. And this
That's
is going
interesting
to be,
that it's not there, that you don't include that.
what do you mean?
I guess it's because that it's not an attribute that you can grab and drag.
It is. We're doing that right now. So we're creating a new attribute. Now we can go back into our form. It's just a custom attribute. Now I'm going to go back to my form and click edit. Go right to where I want to add it in. Go back to add form elements, custom attributes, and there it is. So see how we just added that?
So when you created a custom attribute, all of the ones that were there before had been created?
Correct. I'd already created them from your database.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, so Alice, we want to make sure we do like the cell phone numbers, that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
None of our people sit at a desk. So.
Nope.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and I think you guys probably kind of understand using the custom and built-in attributes. So like I mentioned before, continuing job title is a custom attribute that I got from your database. So I'm just going to grab and drag. You have that under the individual's information. Email. So we can just kind of continue to build these out by grabbing and dragging. Now the next type of attributes that we have to add are called form fields. The big difference here. Built-in and custom attributes are saved in your members' profiles. Form fields are not. So what that means is that you're going to use a form field to collect that info. It will not be saved in your members' profile. So we've kind of got some default fields here for you. For example, country is just a drop down of all the different countries. So you can make this whatever you want it to be. It could be what country the 2018 conference in. And then they could choose a country from the drop down.
Go.
You have the ability to export them into an Excel spreadsheet from the form submission list, which is why it's so important to always copy the label that you create into the export name.
Got it. Okay, so then when the report is pulled, it'll show up. Okay.
Exactly, because that export name is the column header of the report.
Survey component?
Survey. It could be used as a survey, but I mean, this could be used for a membership application. I mean, in this case, the specific question would be used for a survey, but you could say, what country are you from? I mean, that's kind of already a question in the address. select
Right.
a country, but you know, that
This
for
is
some
where-
associations, this would be a,
use them for.
right.
Oh, like how many reps? Like how many reps do you have? That would be one, right?
But this is a drop down of countries. So I mean, this is kind of a
Okay.
hard to understand. So let's keep going through. We've got a date field that you can use. This is just going to give them a calendar where they can choose a date from. So what's your birth date? And they would have to pick the calendar date. A file would give them the ability to upload a file. Please upload your resume. An image would allow them to upload an image. Please upload your headshot. What I'm looking for. I'm going to skip number and selection set. We're going to come back to these. State is just a drop down of all the states, just like country, but they're states instead of countries. Text box is just a blank text box. So for example, describe your services. That's an actual, you know, field from your application.
That's great.
Or list the names and locations of any branch or affiliated firms. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to number and selection set. Number is really just for identification numbers. No special characters or spaces can be held. So I don't know how often you guys would use this. However, it can also be used as a price field. That's why it's special. So this is how a form can trigger an invoice to be created. So what I've seen in the mini, and this would be like for an event registration form example, how many members or how many guests are you bringing to the 2018 gala? Would be $1. Tickets may be $100 or $150. So if they say they're bringing 5 guests, the system will automatically do 5 times 150 and give the full amount on the invoice. Any questions on that?
Nope.
All right. All right, the next item that we have, oh, the other way that we can use this is also a currency input. So there's a number input, which does a times an amount, and then there's a currency input. The currency input allows them to put in whatever type of money they want to put in. So we could say, this would be great for, please list your donation total below. Then they could just put in however much they want to donate. Any questions on that piece?
Nope. Nope. It's good.
All right. All right, then the last item that we have is our selection set. So you asked me about this one a little bit ago. Selection set is also, so this could be, for example, another like event example. Let's say somebody's coming to your conference and you say, please select or please choose your lunch selection. Always bringing our label into our export name. And we can add our selections, options, and limits. It could be they're going to have a ham sandwich. It could be a turkey sandwich. It could be a veggie wrap. Maybe those are the options they have to choose from. Now we've got a limit column over here on the right-hand side. Maybe your caterer said, well, I've only got enough ham to make 50 ham sandwiches, but the rest of them I can make 200 of each. Once ham sandwich has been chosen 50 times, it's going to be grayed out and will not be able to be selected. So you're limiting how many times the options can be selected. Any questions on that?
Very nice.
It's a neat feature.
Awesome. Yeah, it is kind of cool. All right, so, all right. I'm going to save. Now, just like earlier, with the number field, we were able to make it a price field. We've got that same toggle for the selection set, so I can make this a price field as well. Now, from here, I'm going to go back and I can edit the selections, option limits, and base prices. What this allows me to do is actually say, okay, if you want a ham sandwich, it's going to cost you $15. If you want a turkey sandwich, it's going to cost you $12. If you want a veggie wrap, it's going to cost you $8. And then I can hit save. This is going to trigger that amount on the invoice. Okay.
Yep.
All right, now, I know we've pretty much reached our time. I've got just a couple more things I want to review with you guys, but we can pick up on it on the kind of beginning of our next call. I want to give you guys just a minute or two. Any questions I can answer for you guys right now, or like maybe you just need a minute to let all of this soak in, because I know we went through a lot today.
Okay, so I thought of a couple of questions from previous sessions. So it's not necessarily having to do with this, which is great. The menu manager, when do you think you'll have that menu manager fixed so that I can start editing pages?
Menu manager fixed.
The drop-down tab, the tabs themselves.
The tabs. So in the Word doc, like this is based on our current website, and then in the Word doc that I sent, it was different.
Got it. Yes, yes, yes. I'll make sure that that gets done today. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I can make sure that that gets done
no worries.
for you guys.
No worries. So then I can start digging in on that and try to do a couple each day. And then, yeah, that's great. And that was just one question that I had, so that I can start working on that.
Okay.
And then when it comes to like pages that are transferred over from like the old site to the new site, how does that work? Is that something that, so I've gone through and gotten rid of some of our older pages. Is it okay to say that we'd like to have all of them transferred over at this time?
If you guys want all of the pages from your existing site to be brought over, I can definitely have that done for y'all. You want me to go ahead and do that?
I think let's wait until our next session and then we'll go from there. I just wanted to know, like, do I just say, hey, we're ready, and then you guys can transfer over, and how much time does that take? Does that take like a week?
It usually takes 3 to 5 business days.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
so let's wait till our next meeting next week, and then we can go from there. And I'll just say, okay, now we're ready. So I can go through pages a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Got it. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about we've got one more training with our social community, which I'm going to send you guys a link. Oh, we've got it scheduled for Monday. We rock. I forgot that we were already scheduled.
That's right. That's great.
Yeah, so I'm going to send you guys a social community video. I really want you to watch that video before we get to our training. It's much more beneficial if you guys have an idea of exactly what you're wanting to use versus me using that time to do an overview. So give that video a watch, and then I'm also going to be including the Go Live checklist. Make sure you guys go ahead and start going through that, because we're also going to be reviewing that on our call. If everything's done, we're really close to being ready to launch. The last item is that I'll just follow up with you once the menu has been created correctly. Other than that, I think we're doing swell, okay?
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your help. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time today. I'll follow up with you soon.
Take
and
care.
I'll talk to you guys Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.